Okay, welcome back. And this is the second part of our discussion about the syntax and its different kinds of rules. So as we started the discussion with the sentence, there actually, in the previous session, I tried to clarify, or I tried to define that what is the definition of sentence. And there actually we could see that the complete expression of a single thought, that is the very traditional way of defining the sentence. But actually, when we go for different kinds of other sentences like compound or complex sentences, there we can have many thoughts in the single sentence. So in that case, shouldn't we call it a sentence? Because it has more than one or two thoughts. So we can see that in the modern studies, it says that no, in a sentence, there can be more thoughts. If it goes by the rules of the syntactical structure, and then even in a single sentence, if there are two or more thoughts, still we'll call it a sentence. And we have seen it here that in a sentence, we have two different parts. One is a subject and another one is a predicate. And subject is the topic, that is the subject, the noun, and predicate, that is and you can see the predicate, that is what is being said about the topic. So here you can see the example sentence. The book is on the table, as I mentioned it already in the first session, that you can see the book is the topic and is on the table, that is the predicate, because it has been said, something has been said about the book. And what is that? That it is on the table. So it is an information about the table. So that's why we are calling it a predicate. So but in many sentences, it is not easy to make this distinction. And that is true, especially if it is a complex sentence or compound sentence, or even a run-on sentence. You will find it very difficult to find out that which one is a subject and which one is a predicate. So let's see, it's raining out in a sentence, but what is the topic? So you see, it's raining out. This is a sentence, right? It's raining out. Baire brishti hocche. Now tell me, which one is the subject? Can anyone tell me? It's raining out. Can you tell me which one is the subject? You see, raining out, that is the verb, and it is a pronoun. So that is the introductory it. But exactly who is doing that thing? Who is causing that rain? It is not mentioned. Or who is involved in this raining? Involved with this raining or in this raining? So who are these people, or who actually, who is the reason behind this raining? So these things are not mentioned. So we just say বৃষ্টি হচ্ছে, এখানে সাবজেক্ট কোনটা? বৃষ্টি, বৃষ্টি হওয়াটা হচ্ছে একটা ভার্ব, শেষ, সামনে পিছে কিছু নেই। ওকে, বজ্রপাত হচ্ছে, শিলাবৃষ্টি হচ্ছে, কে করতেছে কাজটা? আমি 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 ঘটাচ্ছি? এর সাথে কে ইনভলভ? আমি, তুমি, কে? কোনো সাবজেক্ট নেই। তাহলে এই ক্ষেত্রে আমি কোনটা সাবজেক্ট আর কোনটা প্রেডিকেট দেবো? যদি সাবজেক্টই ধরতে না পারে, তাহলে এই অংশটুকুকে প্রেডিকেট বলতে পারবো? কারণ আমি সংজ্ঞা অনুযায়ী বলছি প্রেডিকেট হচ্ছে সেটা যে সাবজেক্ট সম্পর্কে কিছু বলে। আর যদি সাবজেক্টই না থাকে তাহলে তো ওটা প্রেডিকেটও না। Do you get my point, what I'm saying? That means if one condition is not fulfilled, then the second condition will remain incomplete, and you cannot say that that is predicate. Because for being a predicate, you must have a subject. Do you get the point, what I'm saying? Is that clear?
Yes, sir. তাহলে স্যার সাবজেক্ট এক্সট্রাকে কি বলবো?
Actually, that is introductory it. For example, there are some sentences. There is a school in the village. There is a hospital in the village. So you can see it has started with a there. So there actually it expresses something like a kind of place, and it has introduced a sentence. So we call it you can call it the there. Actually, it expresses existence, or you can call it introductory there. But actually, it's not a subject. So it's very confusing. So that's actually in that sense that's why dealing with this syntax, that how you have to analyze a sentence, how you have to go for the phrase structure, how you have to go for the deep structure and surface structure when it comes to transformational rules. So that's actually we're dealing with this. So let's see what we have here. So it's running out is a sentence, but what is the topic? That means what is the subject? And is Michael and Michael asked Mary for a pen. So it is difficult to decide of which Michael and Mary or pen is the topic. So Michael asked Mary for the pen. So you can see we have three topics. We have Michael, that is noun, we have Mary, and we have pen. Then which one is predicate here? So sometimes actually it gets very difficult to decide on the topic and therefore to decide on the predicate. Now let's see how actually we are going to solve this problem. So in some written languages, it is possible to arrive at a working definition of sentence by referring to the punctuation one is taught to use in school. So you see in the school and even in university, we practice punctuation marks. And by looking at the punctuation marks, you can decide on a sentence. Thus, English sentence for many people begin with a capital letter and end with a full stop or some other mark of final punctuation, like note of interrogation, note of exclamation. So these are other, you can call it the other final punctuation marks, because at the end of the sentence, we have these. For example, question marks, exclamation marks, and full stop or period, you can say. So, and usually in English, a sentence starts or begin with a capital letter. Okay, the problem is that many languages, as in Asia, Asian language, for example, in Bangla, do not make use of such features. We have dari, comma, akar or shoikar, but capital letter, we don't have it. Do you have capital letters or a small letter? That kind of problem, or that kind of bifurcation or demarcation in Bangla, do you have that? বড় হাতের অক্ষর ছোট হাতের অক্ষর বাংলায় আছে? Just like in English, capital letters or uppercase, lowercase, capital letters or small letters, we have it in English. In Bangla, do we have it? Do we have it? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Do you have capital letter or small letter in Bangla?
No, sir.
We don't have it.
No, sir.
So that's what they're saying that, so in those cases, it might be a little bit difficult to identify the subject and predicate, because in English, looking at the capital letters, you can identify that it's a noun or something else like that. So, and also in some of the languages, you can find that full stop, question marks, actually, they're not clearly mentioned. They're not using it that much. So what can we do? So it is even more difficult to identify sentences in speech, where the units of rhythm and intonation often do not coincide with the places where full stop occurs in writing. Speech, for example, spoken English and the written English, they're different sometimes. In the spoken English, you can see sometimes we use intonation, sometimes we use rhythm, different kinds of, what should I say, pitch, tone, different things. Paralinguistic feature that we can say. But you can see when actually you are writing, you have to use specifically some full stops or different kinds of punctuation marks, comma or semicolon, dash, whatever it is. But when actually we speak, we don't use it in that sense. So you have to understand it by reading the rhythm and intonation, tone and pitch and mood of the speaker. So it also creates a kind of difficulty to identify the subject, object, or predicate, I mean, especially in the spoken language. So informal speech, in particular, constructions can lack the careful organization we associate with the written language. You see, informal speech, in particular, constructions can lack the careful organization we associate with the written language. So you see, in the written language, that is very organized, and there actually we use grammatically correct sentences along with the punctuation marks. But when actually we are having informal discussion, conversation with one another, with each other, there actually we don't bother about it. So we are least bothered about the punctuation marks and the grammatical accuracy when actually it comes to informal speech. So it is not that conversation lacks grammar. For example, when you're having informal conversation, like in a very friendly environment, some of your friends, you're very intimate. Your friends are very intimate relationship that you have. So you discuss different topics in different ways, and but still you maintain some grammars unwillingly, and it happens automatically actually, because we are using Bangla for quite a long time. It's our mother tongue, so it comes automatically, the grammar, but not in that way, the way actually we do it in writing. So in writing, we become very particular about the grammars, about the punctuation marks, but in informal speech, we don't care about it in that much. So it is simply that the grammar is of a rather different kind, with sentences being particularly difficult to demarcate. So you see, grammar is of a rather different kind, with sentences being particularly difficult to demarcate. So it is difficult to demarcate. সীমানা নির্ধারণ করা grammar-এ, spoken English, informal speech, sometimes it's very difficult. Okay. Then despite all these difficulties, we continue to employ the notion of sentence, and modern syntacticians try to make sense of it. So they try to make meaning of it. They try to define the sentence. They try to understand sentences, but they do not search for the satisfactory definition of sentence at the outset. So in other words, no definitions was necessary. Sentences were recognized to sentences intuitively. Now, this is very interesting, see? So the modern syntacticians or the grammarians, you can say, or linguists, actually, they don't go for the satisfactory definition. It's not that, for example, as a linguist, you'll not go for a satisfactory definition, that definition will satisfy everybody, the linguists and the readers and the language users. So they don't go for it. তারা ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজের বা সেন্টেন্সের বাক্যের একটা সন্তুষ্ট করবে সবাইকে এরকম ডেফিনেশনের জন্য চেষ্টা করে সময় নষ্ট করেন না শুরুতেই, কারণ সেটার প্রয়োজন নেই। সেন্টেন্সটা আসলে আমাদেরকে বুঝতে হবে, হাউ ইনটুইটিভলি, এটা মানুষ ভেতর থেকে বোঝে, ইনটিউশন ব্যবহার করে বুঝতে পারে যে দিস ইজ এ সেন্টেন্স। ইউ ডোন্ট হ্যাভ টু গো ফর a very hard and fast definition of sentence. Okay, but sentence types, we can demarcate, we can classify the sentence types. For example, even we can't give a proper definition or I mean, you can a satisfying definition of sentence, even if it is not possible, or we shouldn't go for it, because different people have different kinds of opinions about it, about the definition of sentences. But we can classify. So from a very broader perspectives, and I believe that all of you know these three types, that is simple sentences, compound sentences, and complex sentences. These are the three types of sentences. Simple sentences, what is the very basic definition? A simple sentence consists of a single clause. A clause contains a single verb or predicate. So there will be a subject and the predicate. So the following are examples of simple sentences. You can see, Don washed the dishes. Karim assembled a new grill. Joe cooked the hot dog. Dennis will buy a new raincoat this fall. Her uncle had put the gifts in the car. So you can see, if you just take sentence A, that will be the easiest example of simple sentence. You can see, Dan washed the dishes. So you see, Dan is the subject, washed the dishes, that is the predicate. So at least one subject and the predicate. And in the predicate, you must have a verb. So at least one subject, one verb, that will make a simple sentence. So each of these sentences contain only one verb, but you can see that a verb itself consists of a single word, as in washed, assemble, cook. So single verb is there, or more than one word, as in will, buy. So you can have more verbs like will, buy, or in the use of more regular auxiliaries, like primary auxiliaries. For example, he is walking, he is listening to the lecture, we are attending a class, we are listening to the lecture. Okay, so you can see we are listening to the lecture. So we are listening. So are one verb, listening another verb. So it can be the combination of two verbs. So that is another way to look at the simple sentence. So at least one subject, one verb. There can be more than one verb, but at least one subject, one verb should be there to be a simple sentence. Now, the clauses means the individual sentences, part of the sentence, I mean, a longer sentences, part of a longer sentence, you can say that is clauses. So the clauses just cited are called sentences because they stand independently as sentences. So if they don't have to depend on other sentences, then you can call it simple sentence. If they're incorporated into other sentences, they would be called clauses. So when actually we'll call it a clause? If a sentence becomes a part of a bigger or longer sentence, then we'll call it a clause. Otherwise, individually, it will exist as an independent sentence or clause. Okay, so let's see the compound sentences. You can say two clauses can be joined to make a coordinate sentence. So it has another name, coordinate sentence, because you need coordinating conjunctions to put together two different sentences or clauses. As in these examples, you can see Kareem assembled a new grill and Joe cooked the hot dog. So you see, Kareem assembled a new grill, one sentence. Joe cooked the hot dog, that is another sentence. So here we have two sentences, independent sentences, but they are put together or connected with the use of a coordinating conjunction, and that is and. So we call it a compound sentence. Danish bought a new coat, but she didn't wear it often. So Danish or Dinesh, whatever in which you actually pronounce it. So you can see she bought a new coat, but she didn't wear it often. So you see two independent clauses. One is Dinesh bought a new coat. It can be used as a separate sentence. She didn't wear it often. You can also use it as a separate sentence, but they're connected with the use of but. Okay, so the coordinating conjunction. So this is the very basic example. We can see the structure of coordinating compound sentence. Now, a coordinate sentence consists of two clauses joined by words such as, and, but, and, or. So, and, but, or. So they, these coordinating conjunctions, they will actually be, they will function as the connector between these two independent clauses. Okay. All right, you know it, so that's actually, I don't want to recapitulate the whole thing. Just let's take a look at these sentences structure. So remember this. Now the clauses use coordinate sentence hold equal status as parts of a sentence. Neither is part of the other one, and each could stand by itself as an independent sentence. Remember this. So they have equivalent status, equal status. So look at this sentence. If you just look at this structure, Kareem assembled a new grill and Joe cooked the hot dog. তোমরা জানো যে গ্রিল করতে ওইটা এক ধরনের স্ট্রাকচার কিনতেও পাওয়া যায়, যারা হট ডগ কিংবা যারা বারবিকিউ করে তারা এই মেশিনগুলো ব্যবহার করে, বারবিকিউ মেশিন আর কি। সো করিম কি করেছে, সে গ্রিলের মেশিনটাকে ঠিক করেছে, আর জো তখন তার উপরে হট ডগ গুলো ভাজাভাজি করেছে, রান্না করেছে, মানে হট ডগটাকে সেখানে রান্না করছে আর কি। এই জন্য বলতেছে যে ও হচ্ছে মেশিনটা অ্যাসেম্বল করেছে আর জো সেটার উপরে পরে রান্না করেছে। দেখো দুইজনের ইকুয়াল স্ট্যাটাস, they can be used as independent sentences, both of them. And there is only one thing, that is and, that is the conjunction. So that's it. So they have equal status. Now the last one is complex sentence, and after this we'll conclude our today's lecture. So here is a complex sentences are formed by incorporating clauses into another clause. So you can see that in the compound sentence also we have two different clauses, but they're connected. It is not incorporating. With the equal status, they are connected with each other. But here in complex sentence, the problem is that one sentence will be more equal than the other. That is, one is, you can see, it can be used as an independent sentence, but the other sentence, which has been incorporated with the independent clause, that cannot be used as an independent sentence. So that this is the basic difference between the compound and the complex. In the compound, both the sentences, they hold the equal status, but in the complex sentence, both the sentences actually, they don't hold the equal status. So here you can see incorporating clauses into another clause. Embedded clause is a clause that is embedded or incorporated into another clause to form complex sentence. For example, the clause Dan washed the dishes can be incorporated into another clause to produce sentence. Sue said Dan washed the dishes. So in each of the following examples, the underlined portion is a clause that is incorporated or embedded into another clause. So you can see, look at the example. Sue said. Sue কিছু বলেছিল, Sue বলেছে কি? Dan washed the dishes. So you can see Dan washed the dishes. This one is dependent on Sue said. Then again, that the runner from Ohio won the marathon surprised me. You see, something surprised me, okay? So you see, surprised me. What surprised me? That the runner from Ohio won the marathon. Ohio হচ্ছে আমেরিকার একটা স্টেট, বলছে ওহাইও থেকে আসা ওই দৌড়বিদ সে ম্যারাথন জিতেছে, এটা আমাকে খুবই সারপ্রাইজড করেছে, এটা আমাকে অবাক করে দিয়েছে। So what did surprise you? That the runner from Ohio won the marathon. So you see, this sentence is incorporated. ওটাকে ওর মধ্যে এমবেড করা হয়েছে, ঢুকিয়ে দেওয়া হয়েছে সারপ্রাইজের মধ্যে। That the runner from Ohio won the marathon. So you can see we don't have any coordinating conjunction and or but we have something else, that is that, which, what, when, until, whether, এই জাতীয় স্ট্রাকচারগুলো তোমরা দেখবে এবং এটা দিয়ে একটা সেন্টেন্সকে আরেকটা সেন্টেন্সের মধ্যে প্রবেশ করিয়ে দেওয়া হবে। এই এমবেডেড সেন্টেন্সগুলো সহ টোটাল সেন্টেন্সটাকে বলা হচ্ছে কমপ্লেক্স সেন্টেন্স। ওকে, ফর এক্সাম্পল সেন্টেন্স সি, she is wondering whether Denise will buy a new raincoat. So it's whether Denise will buy a new raincoat. If you try to use this sentence individually, it will not be able to express any meaning. It is dependent on she is wondering on this sentence. She didn't suspect a party until her uncle put the gifts in the car. See, until. So it started with until, whether, when, where, that, which. So this kind of words, actually, you can see they will be used at the beginning of this incorporated sentence or embedded sentence or clause. Actually, we should call them clause. So let's see. I hope you have understood it. So I have already explained it, so no need to talk about it that much. Let's see. Okay, now that's all about the discussion about the sentence. So dear students, so what are the things that so far we have discussed to understand this sentence structure? First, we started with the parts of speech, right? Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Then we discuss after parts of speech, then it comes, that means word level discussion is done. Then we went to phrase, right? We have seen 5 different kinds of phrases, right? One is noun phrase, verb phrase, prepositional phrase, adverbial phrase, adjective phrase, right? Then we moved on to sentence. Then we have found 3 different kinds of sentences. One is a simple sentence, compound sentence, and complex sentence. So to understand the phrase structure rules, we have discussed the very basics of these things. And also it will also help us to understand the, you can see the transformational rules. So now here we have the major constituent of sentence. So one is noun phrase, another one is verb phrase, that is NP and VP. So if you just look at the following examples, you can see Alex swims. So you can see Alex swims. Alex is the noun, swims is the verb. Then again, the dog is barking. Barking. So the dog is a noun phrase, is barking, that is a verb phrase. Jennifer said something. So you see Jennifer is an NP, that means N, noun, and said something, that is the verb phrase. That means said is the verb, and something, that is you can see that is, it can be used as a pronoun. So in general, simple sentences and therefore clauses consist of 2 principal constituents. They will have 2 principal constituents. In each of the preceding examples, that means in all these examples, example A, B, and C, you can see the constituent on the left is called the NP. I have already explained it. On the left, Alex, the dog, Jennifer, they are the noun phrase. And on the right side, you can see there is a VP, that's a verb phrase, that is swims, is barking, and said something. All right, so each NP is a referring expression. NP or noun phrase is a referring expression. Each verb phrase makes a prediction. So we refer to Alex. What does he do? He swims. So you can see that is a prediction. That is predicate. What is it doing, or what is it going to do? So it talks about it. Okay, that is a prediction or predicate. So we identify noun phrase and verb phrase sometimes by slots they fill in a sentence, and sometimes from their functions in the same way. So sometimes looking at the sentence structure, you can see this is the noun phrase and this is the verb phrase. And sometimes looking at their functions, also you can identify them. Thus, Alex in sentence A, you can see sentence A, Alex swims. So Alex in sentence A and the dog in sentence B function the same way. That is, they are referring expression about which the prediction in a sentence is made. So something is talked about them. Alex swims, and you can see the dog is barking. So barking, that is said about the dog, and swims, that is said about the Alex. But what is happening in the sentence C? Now, they are referring expressions about which is the prediction in the sentence is made. Similarly, swims in A and is barking in B functions alike in their sentences. Their predictions made of a noun phrase. So about the noun phrase, the prediction has been made. But what is happening in the sentence C? Let's see. Okay, now in the sentence, hello,
Sir.
in this, yes, yes.
স্যার আমাদের ক্লাস আছে নেক্সট টাইম 12:15 এখন যদি
What was the time now? Thanks for the reminder. Okay, so just give me 1 minute, then I will conclude it. Okay, within this minute,
Okay,
I'll finish it. Okay, thanks for the reminder. Thank you. All right. So Jennifer said something that is also talked about. Jennifer, you can see Jennifer is a subject. So something is, she is the reference. And what is it? Said something. So that is the predicate. So said something, that is a predicate. It has been predicted about Jennifer that she said something. Now, in the phrase structure rule, actually we'll move on to that. So in the next class, actually we'll start our discussion about the phrase structure rules. And also we'll come to know about some of the structures and some of the, you can say, words and expressions and abbreviations. So, and also the items. So these items will help us to identify a sentence, to classify a sentence into different parts. So which one is a determiner, which one is auxiliary, which one is noun, which one is verb, which one is VP or NP, and there are different others. So inshallah, in our next class, we'll be discussing all these things. And I hope that today's discussion about syntax, it has helped you a lot to understand the fact. So thank you very much. Thanks for your patience. And I'm going to upload this video for your future reference. So those who missed the class, or if you need to know more about it, so you can go back to the video again and again, and then you can get the clarification about the discussion of syntax. And of course, if you have more to know, please talk to me. You can text me, or in the next class, you can also ask about me about any of the items that we have discussed today. So thank you. Thank you very much. Take care of yourself, dear students. Wa alaikum assalam.
Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Wa alaikum assalam. Take care and have a good day.